The D Gomes show touches down in Sao Paulo and about a 5.5 hour drive from her gym at PRVT in Curitiba it is to get herself to Sao Paulo to the gymnasium. But Matt, when we look at this fight, I mean, D Gomes, this really is her show at this point. She's taking on Angela Hill, who's coming off a fight of the night against Mackenzie Dern in a main event her last fight. She's ranked in this women's strawweight division. It's a Shark Tank.
That's what I have to bring up. Is Angela Hill Dolph Ziggler? Hear me out. You're never surprised where she lands on the card, right? She could be the main event one week. She could be the co-main event. She could be one of the opening fights on the card. She always is probably a little bit scrappier than you assume. And every prospect who has ever fought in the division tries to make a name off of her at some point, it feels like.
I don't understand it, but what
She's
do
the
know,
Dolph
Matt,
Ziggler.
Denise Gomes inside of the UFC. I mean, she fought in Contender Series last year. She got a big-time win over Rayani Amanda. At that time, Rayani Dos Santos now. She loses to Loma Lookboonmee in a short and abbreviated fight for Denise Gomes. She gets completely out-grappled in that one by the Muay Thai striker Lookboonmee. And of course, if you want to play MMA math, well, Angela Hill beat Lookboonmee, and Gomes did lose to her. But for Gomes, her last two times out, she's an underdog. And she's able to go out there and pick up those wins. A big-time win over Bruna Brazil. She finished her in the second round. She finishes Yasmin Jauregui.
That was a big
the
one.
Double right hand, and then she just kind of keeps her down and hits her with a lot of unanswered shots. Jauregui protested a little bit because why wouldn't you? It's your first professional loss. But for Gomes, a giant winner last time out. So now she gets a shot at the rankings. She's dyed her hair blonde, so you'll see that this fight week. Her and Carol Hossa out of PRVT. But again, a big shot, and now all of a sudden, Angela Hill's back where she's always been. You're a stepping stone. Have fun. And we knew Angela Hill for having 2 stints in the UFC, becoming the Invicta strawweight champ back in 2016. And really, I think her best time in the UFC, it was kind of the later stages, 2019 to 2020. She was able to go 4-1. The only loss in that stretch was to Yan Xiaonan, who's at the upper echelon of this division currently. And Angela Hill, I mean, she's just fought everybody at this point. You don't get to 10-13 in the UFC without...
She's the Derek Lewis of the strawweight division.
Derek Lewis, Dolph Ziggler, how many more do you have?
Well, no, it's just there's some fighters out there who it's like, how many guys are you going to have a rematch with? Like, you just got to look for the spot in the ranking where they haven't fought. For Derek Lewis, it's Shelton Almeida. For Angela Hill, she's never fought D. Gomes.
We've seen D. Gomes in some of these previous fights. You look at her fight way back when. You're taking on Milana Dudieva, and you're getting dropped early in that one. You got to rally in the second. You get the finish in the third. Denise Gomes has shown that she has really good toughness, good stick-to-itiveness, bad takedown defense. She's working on it. I mean, she's at a good school to work at that, or work on that.
She's still really young.
And you look at Gomes, she just marches forward. So, to me, she's a little bit like a brawler. Shot caller, 20-inch...
Blades on the Impala, Kala getting laid tonight. Yeah, I know that song.
Yeah, everybody knows Lil Troy. And if you want to see a guy awkwardly dance,
Swishers rolled tight.
He's just having the most awkward dance by himself.
You're gonna hit the highway, maybe get money my way.
Better way.
Yeah, you didn't think I was gonna go that far with it.
But when you look at this fight, Matt, Gomes, if she's not able to close that distance and land those big shots, she could have some trouble. And for Angela Hill, again, look at her last fight against Mackenzie Dern. That was her name and Gracie against Logan Storley performance. Wow! Mackenzie Dern can box, and she gets a knockdown in the first round. A big right cross that really gets over the defensive Angela Hill, lands the knockdown. Now all of a sudden, Angela Hill's knockdown ratio is 2-4 to 2 against. You'll remember that Amanda Lemos knockdown, but the big stick-to-itiveness from Hill, round 2, round 3, to make that a fight of the night. But when I look at this one, Matt, what people are going to forget, they're going to remember the knockdown in the first round. They're going to forget the fact that round 3 and round 5, Mackenzie Dern 10-8s in those rounds. Angela Hill's had a rough road with those fighters that can close that distance.
Angela Hill's almost 39 years old. Yeah, she's not in her prime anymore. I think that's fair to say. But that has always been the thing about Angela Hill throughout her career. It's, hey, we want you to fight this prospect. And it's not like she's lost all those fights, right? You bring it up. She has been able to fight at the top of a lot of these cards because she always has been in the rankings. And it's like, oh, you're not fighting someone just coming off Contender Series. You're fighting them after they are 2, 3, 4 wins into their career. And to Hill's credit, the fact that she is so good at her game at this point, and being that high volume on the back foot kind of a fighter, it has worked out for her in a lot of her career. But you bring up the knockdowns against, and that's the one thing that I do start to worry about, because you know what everybody's game plan is when they fight Angela Hill. It's, hey, we can't stay on the outside. She's going to hit us with 1,000 punches and never get tired. So everybody's plan is get on the inside and try to hit her with big shots. Not everybody has the power of somebody like D. Gomes, and I worry that if the durability of Angela Hill has faltered even a little bit, well, hey, everybody's trying to get on the inside anyways.
Nah.
D. Gomes is probably going to do the same. So if she is able to get on the inside and hurt Hill, not that I'd be surprised, because I think it could happen, but that's going to completely shift the whole entire fight. But there is a flip side to this too, and it's every Marina Moroz fight that's ever happened in the UFC. If Angela Hill can just stay on the outside with her volume, and D. Gomes feels so uncomfortable at closing that distance to where she doesn't want to eat 2 or 3 shots before she can land her one big one, then we could see Gomes being very hesitant on that back foot, because at only 23, turning 24 soon, but still pretty young in her career, I wonder that, okay, you have your first loss, it's kind of in the rearview mirror, you've looked a lot better since that, but is Angela Hill going to be another one of those veteran kind of skill checks where, hey, you're good, but you might not be good enough to beat Hill, and then you can go on your run afterwards? Because Hill, I've always had a hard time with her in the UFC. She is 15-13, it's not like all of her fights have gone her way, but every time you count her out, she's going to look a little bit better than you think, and every time you believe in her, she's probably going to come up a little short, and that's why I've always had a hard time with Angela Hill.
4 fight of the nights for Angela Hill, a 23 fight sample size. She's the underdog in the matchup against a much younger D. Gomes.
And a lot of those have been in the public eye, right? Like, they've all been in the UFC and Invicta for the most part.
They have. When it does come down to this one, we'll have a look at the topology votes. Surprise us there to you. I'm going to say over under 70% D. Gomes in the fight.
I think they'll be under.
They're over. So 1,280 total votes, 73% Gomes, 53% by decision, 39% have Gomes to win by knockout for the 27% that have Hill. 92% have her to win by decision. The last 3-round fights for Angela Hill against Emily Ducati and Lupita Godinez. She won those both by decision. I think Angela Hill wins a 3-round decision against Denise Gomes. It's a hometown fight for Denise Gomes. But I go back to even the fight against Ariane Carnelosi on that run, 2019, 2020. She's able to go out there, bust her up. It's a TKO finish due to a doctor's stoppage. But Angela Hill, if you can't solve that riddle of just move forward, which we've seen D. Gomes have been able to do against Bruno Brazil and against one Yasmin Jauregui, taking that, as a really, really big underdog. You can't stress that enough. There's a lot of fighters on this card who've come through as massive underdogs. Gomes is one of them. Elvis Brener is the other, and I get a little bit on that one later. But when I do look at this one, I think Hill's going to be able to get it done on the outside. Trains with a very good gym at Alliance MMA. Jenna Bishop with the BJJ. Jessica Penne as well. So we'll see how this one plays out, but I'm going to go with Angela Hill here.
I'll take the hometown hero. I was thinking about Angela Hill because I do think she has a skill set to go out there and win this fight, but I worry about her durability if D. Gomes is able to get on the inside and hit her with some big shots, because Gomes has proved that she is more than a capable puncher at this stage of her career, and if Hill is starting to have some of those susceptibilities in her game, then I could see Gomes going out there and getting a big win.
Again, Gomes' UFC debut was on 11 days' notice. The loss to Loma Lookman, so not a full camp in that one. She also has experience at bantamweight, flyweight, and now at strawweight. Does D. Gomes? We're split on the pick. Let us know who you have in the matchup. Some big-time fights in this card, Matt. Almeida taking on Lewis in the marquee. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Name Picks. We always say, let's get into it.